April White, EDCI 2400, Fall 2013. Anjul. For the majority of your life, you attended Catholic school. Are you and your family of the Catholic religion?
No, my family is of the Baptist religion, and we also attend a Baptist church.
Why did your family choose to send you to Catholic school?
My family chose to send me to a Catholic school because in the area that I live, Catholic schools and private schools offer the best education.
Was there an abundance of diversity in your school setting, or did the majority of the students share the same cultural background as you?
No, there was not an abundance of diversity. Most of the students were of my ethnic background. Because of the area that I live, most of the schools were culturally separated.
In which ways were you disciplined in your school?
As far as discipline went, parents were called and their schools had the option of deciding what disciplinary action to give the student depending on the severity of the behavior.
What were some of the traditions practiced in your school setting?
We prayed every morning and evening. We were required to take a religion class, and we also had to attend Mass every Wednesday.
What type of things were practiced in Mass?
At Mass, praise songs were sung and communion was served, but only to students of the Catholic religion. The students were given the option of walking up to receive a blessing from the priest.
What were the lessons taught to you in religion class?
The lessons taught in religion class were basically scenarios and situations that urged the students to decide what's the best way to behave in a situation. We were often asked the question, what would Jesus do?
For the short time that you attended public school, what was the biggest difference between the two school settings?
Overall, the quality of the education was different. I received a more thorough education at Catholic school. I felt like the teachers were more interested in whether or not I was actually learning. The classroom sizes were smaller, and opportunity for one-on-one learning presented itself more abundantly. Catholic school was definitely more strict, refined, and organized. Education was taken very seriously. In public schools, we were given standardized tests. The school treated these tests as if they were more important than the students because the schools were given a grade based on the results of the test. It was a burden. We spent the majority of our year basically programming our brains to pass the standardized test rather than actually learning. This was not an issue in Catholic school. These standardized tests are given by the state to all public schools. I believe this is unfair because every school is not on the same page and does not receive the same curriculum.
Which school setting did you like better and why?
Although Catholic school presented the better education and public school presented the burden of standardized testing, I would have to state that public school was my favorite setting. Everything was so routine and practiced at Catholic school. Public school awarded me with the experience of real life and real struggles.
And what kind of school do you think that you would send your children to and why?
I would send my children to private school because I want them to receive the top education without the burden of standardized testing that is given in public schools and the routine traditions found in Catholic school. Thanks.
So I attended public school all of my life. My whole education was public school. But I always did think that Catholic school students received a better education than I did. And I always had an idea that Catholic schools were more refined and strict than public schools. And I don't really know why. I guess it was just the reputation of a Catholic school. But however, now I can account for that because Anjul, having received both public school and Catholic school education, said that she did receive the better education at Catholic school and it was very more refined than public school setting. I was very surprised at her choice of public school as her favorite setting. It was great to have a personal account from someone who received both forms of education. As an attendee of public school, I never realized how standardized testing could be looked upon as such a burden, but now I understand. It was just a routine part of the curriculum that I received at public school, and I was just so accustomed to that. That just was a part of the way school was. But however, now that I think about it, I do feel like the time that was used to prepare for these tests could have been geared towards something more beneficial to us, because I do feel like we were just like programmed to pass these tests, and just, we had to pass those tests to move on to the next grade. But I don't really remember anything. Like, I feel like I could have learned so much more, instead of using that time to just prepare for those tests. But anyway, I think that this will affect me as a future teacher. Now I will be more sensitive to the fact that some of my students may be transfer students from different school settings. And now I realize how big of a difference there is between two different school settings, or all different school settings. And I now see that adapting to a new setting is not an easy task. So I definitely will be more considerate and more sensitive to the fact that I can't have transfer students. But I really enjoyed this interview, and it was very informative for me. I learned a lot.